Welcome to this week's Read the Bible Together session. So it's been a couple of weeks, due some glitches in travel and technology, but we are back for this week to finish our story about David. We've spent a couple of weeks reading about David from 1 Samuel, and this continues the story of David and Goliath. You can follow along in 1 Samuel chapter 17, verses 4 through 11, and chapters 32 through 50. So it is quite a long story that tells more about David, and it tells more about how God is with ordinary people that come together to do extraordinary things. So these are chapters in 1 Samuel that you may want to read over the next several weeks as we take a little break from our videos, as we all transition into August and to back to school. And so keep your Bible handy. Spend some time in 1 Samuel over the next couple of weeks, and then we will pick up with our Old Testament stories on August 22nd and finish out the Old Testament through the end of the year. So from the Spark Story Bible, from Sparkhouse Publishing, this is the story of David and Goliath. King Saul and his army looked out from their mountain hideout. Their enemies, the Philistines, were camped at the opposite mountain. In the valley between stood Goliath, the tallest man Saul had ever seen. "Who will fight me?" Goliath roared, waving his spear. "Who can face the mighty Goliath?" he shouted, lifting his sword. Saul and his army were afraid. They could not win against the Philistines. They could not beat Goliath. Surely they would be captured and become slaves. A beam of sunlight bounced off Goliath's bronze helmet. His voice shook the leaves in the trees, and all the birds hid behind their branches. "Send out your best warrior," Goliath ordered. "Let him fight against me. If I win, you will be our slaves. If your soldier wins, we will serve you and your God." Saul waited. No one stepped forward to take Goliath's challenge. Saul felt a small tug on his sleeve, and looking down, he saw David, a young shepherd boy. "I will do it, King Saul," David said. "I will fight Goliath." "You are a boy. How can you beat a gigantic man like Goliath?" Saul turned to go. And there you can see David tugging on King Saul's robe. "Wait, King Saul," David said. "God protects me from the wolves and bears that go after my sheep. God will protect me now, too." And David reached down and picked up 5 smooth stones. In his right hand, he carried the same sling he used to chase away the wolves and wild animals. Saul patted David's head and pointed down the rocky path leading to the valley. Goliath laughed when he saw David. "You are the warrior they send out against me?" And David slipped his hand into his pouch and selected a stone. "I am not afraid of your spear and sword, Goliath," David said. "God will help me." And David rushed toward Goliath, swinging his sling. The smooth stone flew through the air and hit Goliath in the forehead. And there you can see how big Goliath is compared to David and what that little stone did. Down, down, down Goliath fell. Down fell his sword, and down fell his spear. Down fell his mighty shield. David picked up Goliath's bronze helmet from the ground and held it high in the air. Saul and all his soldiers rose up with a shout. And David, a small shepherd boy, had beaten the mighty Goliath. And when the Philistines saw that Goliath had fallen, they were afraid and ran away. Trusting in God gave David courage when he needed it most. And there you can see the giant's feet as he laid out on the ground, and David celebrating that God had been with him and kept him safe in this fight, right? To save his people from slavery. So, as you go through the next few weeks, continue to read the stories of First Samuel and think about how God is with you when you are encountering something that you think is too big to handle.